Hello everybody, welcome to Web3 Ladies Club. This is Jasmine, and today we have a special guest with us. It's Finche from Colorful Rebels, and she's going to talk to us about how to generate NFT art.
Hey everyone, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Jasmine, for inviting me, and I can't wait.
Finche is one of the early supporters of this Web3 Ladies Club concept, so I'm very, very excited to have you here on the channel. Finche is the founder of Colorful Rebels, so therefore I would love to start by asking you to maybe give us a short introduction of what Colorful Rebels is.
Of course. So, my name is Finche, and I'm the founder and artist behind Colorful Rebels. And together with my partner since yesterday, Non-Fungible Girl became my official partner for Colorful Rebels. We are building this female lab project with a collection of 5,555 colorful women who stand for freedom, power, and equality. And our main goal with Colorful Rebels is creating a platform that will make it easier for people to join the Web3 space, and also onboarding more women in the process. And we will do this by creating a community with like-minded people to be able to learn from each other, and by providing step-by-step guides, tools, and education. So that's Colorful Rebels in a nutshell.
Excellent, thank you so much. And I would love to have a dedicated interview regarding Colorful Rebels to really go into the details. But today we're focusing on the art creation and art generation. So I'm just gonna take a second and throw some pieces of your art onto the screen. I really love the colors. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you call it Colorful Rebels, because you put a lot of effort into the colors. I'm a big color person. I personally do a lot of dusty tones in my personal NFT collection, but I see you have a lot of what I would call light pastels, which I think just makes people happy. So I would love to hear a bit about your background regarding art and how you learn to draw and learn to create art in general.
Yes, of course. So I was always very creative as a child, and I'm not an only child, but like my brother is 10 years older than me, so I had to find a way to get myself busy. So I started drawing very early on, and I think until I was 15 years old, it was just on paper. And then I bought my first drawing pad, which is like a thing that you put on your computer and then you draw on that and you see the image on your computer. It's a bit hard, but it was a start. And then I started using Affinity Designer, which is a computer program. It's a cheaper alternative for Illustrator. And now the last years I've been drawing on Procreate on my Apple, with my Apple Pencil and with my tablet. And I started like an Instagram page because I was doing some colorful sketches, and I really loved doing sketches with like some feminist quotes in it, just things that people really could relate to. I think the Instagram page like went off on Sunday. And I think we're at like 11,000 followers right now. I'm not putting enough content on it because I'm working on Colorful Rebels, but it is something that I'm very passionate about, and I really just love seeing people post the quotes, but also love the art. I think meaning to art is always fun. And yeah, then Colorful Rebels started, and now I'm like full-time a business owner, but also full-time an illustrator. So that's a bit about me. It just came very natural, and I think I was meant to be an illustrator or an artist at some point in my life.
Yes, I mean, I definitely think that, I mean, there's a reason why people like what you're doing, because it's really beautiful. I did not know about that 11,000 people or followers Instagram page. I am very curious about that. I'm gonna ask you to give me a link, actually, because I would love to stalk you a little bit and just enjoy your art that's outside of Colorful Rebels. And for the audience who are watching right now, I'm also going to include that link in the description so you can also stalk with me. But moving on to the art creation and art generation, so I see that Colorful Rebels has 5,555 pieces. I believe for anyone who is looking into starting their own NFT collection, they might have the immediate question, that is, how on earth can you produce that many art pieces? So can you, Finche, give us a very brief rundown of how the art is generated?
Yeah, of course. And it's actually funny because I did think in the beginning that you had to create them all just by yourself, and that was just what had to be done. But then I knew that it was just a beautiful world of art generation. So basically you make a ton of layers. A layer is something that makes it possible to stack image elements on top of each other. So think of a layer as hair, eyes, clothing. And the fun part with layers is you can edit layers, you can delete them, you can recolor them. So it makes, in a way, the process more easy, but also more hard. It's something that you'll have to get used to. If you have like a good vision and you really think about it before you start, it actually makes it very fun to create with layers. So all these layers get saved individually, and then after that you go into the generate part. For me, I do this by myself. I use a program that is called Visual Studio Code, and in that program I have an algorithm that generates the art for me, but you can also use platforms and tools for it. If it's a bit too hard in the other way for you, you have an amazing platform called Blam. This is a platform that is actually a platform of Wunks, another amazing NFT project. And with them, you can just give them your layers and they will do the art generation for you. And then after that, you just choose the amount of images that you want to be made from the layers, and also the rarity. So how much a certain trait will be in the collection. Let's say you have like a very cool purple hairstyle, let's go for purple for the color vibe, and you want it to be very rare, then you can just say like, I want this to have 0.67% in the collection, and then that will be a very rare trait.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving that introduction. I think at this point there are a lot of ready-made tools out there. For example, you said Blam, which is also from a fellow cohort of Web3 Ladies Club. So I would definitely love to bring them onto the show quite soon. But yeah, it's really about, I guess, understanding the different settings you want for your collection and utilizing your tools out there. I mean, it could go from ready-made tools, as you said, Blam, or sometimes people can just have a Python code template downloaded from the web and program a bit more in detail themselves. But essentially, that is how it works. You don't have to draw more than 5,000 pieces. You basically draw the different PNG layers, which is basically half transparent, and you stack them on top of each other to make your NFTs. All right. So I would love to ask you, since you are both the artist and the person who does the generation code, what are some things to watch out for when drawing the different layers?
I think you really have to think long and hard about how the layers will fit on top of each other. Know what will overlap, like hairstyles. Hairstyles can be very, very tricky. Do you want the hair to be in front of the body, or do you want all the hair to be in the back of the body? Because that will be a totally different way of creating that layer. The second thing that I think is very important, and this is something that I really struggled with as well, like it's not only the layer creation, but also the naming part. The most little misspelling in layers can have a very, very big effect on the generation part. So really being focused on how to call every layer, how to keep them in folders, it's very, very, very important. And I think also the overall aesthetic, because I mostly designed the layers separate from each other. So I did the hairstyles, I did the eyes, I did the mouth, and you really need to think how it will look without seeing every image being made in your program or in your Procreate. So you really need to think about the aesthetics, and especially if you're like us working with a lot of colors, making sure that they have like the same vibe, like the same tone, because it will be all fit together in the end, and you don't want to start over and over and over again because you don't feel it. Like sometimes I have some images that I don't feel, or some traits that I'm not really happy with how they look on each other, and then I just end up deleting the trait and then making new ones. So it can be very time consuming if you're not taking the time to think about these things in a very specific way.
I think those are really good tips. Sometimes, us as artists, we want maybe the person that we're drawing to be in a specific position, but I think that some positions don't work when it comes to layers. So for example, if the woman that you're drawing wants to do this, but then essentially you have the clothing layer being behind the hair and on top of the hair as well, which makes things very complicated. So yeah, I think there's a lot to watch out for, and I love the different tips that you gave. And I would love to move on to asking the question, how much time did it take you to generate all the layers that are required for Colorful Rebels?
I think the only answer to that question is it depends on the artist. It's actually very funny. I closed my business for 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks' time, I actually got the first batch of Colorful Rebels ready. That was in January, and I'm still, to this date, changing up everything, making new layers, getting rid of old layers. So I think it really depends on the artist, and I'm a very big perfectionist. So for me, in all honesty, the Colorful Rebels will never be done, but I will be at a point that they look amazing and they're ready. So ready and done is something totally different for me. I think if they would give me like a year and a half, I would be drawing a year and a half. So I think it comes to your deadline, and I have set a deadline for myself to have them done and not touch them anymore. But yeah, some people will be able to make a collection in 2 weeks, and some people will need months. So I think also because I'm also the founder, I have the privilege that I can take my time. If you're an artist for a project, just know that there will be deadlines, so you need to know yourself in that way. I'm not sure that I would be able to work as an artist for someone else, because I really need that time to make the images come to life and really get the vibe. So yeah, that's something that you have to think about. How long will it take you to be happy with the designs that you are making? Because this will be different. There's no right answer to that.
Yeah, and I think me personally, I'm both the founder and the artist, just like you. And I think it's also very nice that, after we have some amount of layers there and that make up our NFTs, that we start talking to the community, doing sneak peeks. And sometimes the community will just tell you that, oh, what about this type of style? Well, I would love that trait to be part of the collection. And just listening to the community and not really having a strict deadline when you want to close all the layers is also a very nice touch to the project.
Yeah, it is, and we also did that. A lot of we have a channel in our Discord that is like traits, and people get the chance to add whatever they would like. But then again, as an artist, it's for you to pick the ones that really will fit the overall vibe and that you're comfortable with to draw. But yeah, it is fun to listen to your community, and sometimes they come up with amazing ideas that I would not have come up with myself. So yeah, I totally get that.
And just to kind of close the conversation around the generation, you did talk about the different codes that could be used for the generation and the different things that you have to watch out for. Despite the code, despite the program, are there any manual tasks that are required in the end for your NFT generation?
Yeah, it will be putting the layers, like I said, like naming the layers very correctly, putting them in different categories, and then for me it's putting them in folders, putting them in the program with the right folders, and then telling the program what it has to do. I think when you use like an online tool, it's more like putting the layers into it, but also naming them correctly. I can't say it enough. You have to name your layers correctly, because if it's generated and you want certain traits to be in your collection, if one is named not correctly, it won't be in there. So, or it will be on OpenSea and then it will be totally scrambled. So naming them is very, very, very hard, but very important. And I think you have to be very focused when you're doing these things. I always make sure that if I'm doing things like that, I do all of it in one day and I don't start drawing, I don't start do anything else, just being focused on the process of the layers, getting the layers ready.
So I love how you talked about the fact that you need to name your layers correctly, because essentially what you need to do, for example, if your collection is on OpenSea, is to have the metadata there that actually makes up the filters for the different trades, so that people, if they want to buy your NFTs from the secondary market, can just go into the filters and see, okay, I actually like that hairstyle and maybe pair it with that background color, so on and so forth. And we need to do the things correctly so that the people can really select what they want to buy. All right, so moving on to the next question. If you have one advice you would give to a aspiring generative NFT artist, what would that be?
Can I give two? Because I think it's different when you want to start a project or if you're becoming like an artist of another project.
Sure. One for each scenario.
Yeah, great. So I think my biggest advice for someone that wants to start their own project, just keep in mind, it won't be only the art. I had to learn a lot of skills. I'm still learning skills every day, and it will be a lot of work, but it's worth it. And then for people that want to do the art for another project, I think the most important thing is be very clear about your style and your vision, because the artist part doesn't stop after mint. Like, you will have to make more art after that. Think about marketing, think about merch, maybe a second collection. So be sure that you're very, very used to the style, that you're confident with it, and that you're just on the same page, because you don't want to start over, or you don't want to have to leave the project after doing a lot of work. So talk, sketch, make sure that everyone knows what you're doing and that everyone is happy with that, because that's I know as an artist sometimes you think like, yeah, but I have my vision, but you need to have people see that vision, and that's very important.
That's excellent advice, especially the first one. I can definitely relate to what you're saying as the founder. In the very beginning, you probably think that, oh, I just need to create excellent art, maybe have a roadmap, but just get it out there, and then people will just see it and love it and then want to buy it. There's definitely a lot more that goes into it. I would say that art is a minority of the workload that a founder has to put into the project, given that the founder is the artist. There's a lot more that goes into team building, that goes into community building, marketing, business decisions, and so on. And that we will talk about in our following videos. But in the meantime, I really think that we had a very informative session. So thank you so much, Vinci, for coming on and sharing your experience as the artist for your project. Is there anything you would like to plug in the direction of Colorful Rebels?
I think what I would like to add is just, I know for artists it sounds like a lot. I know a lot of artists are great artists, but sometimes don't really have the business skills, but business skills can be learned. Like, I think although it's hard, it's so worth it, and I think especially for artists, the NFT space is giving so much opportunity to people, and you should just do it and find a way that you want to do it. If it's like one-in-one creation, if it's for a big project, if it's for your own project, I really think that the feeling of a lot of work and maybe thinking that you're not able to do this should stop you from trying. So that's the only thing that I can add. Just do it, have fun with it, and find a way that really works for you, because there's 100 ways that you can join the NFT space. So just do it.
Absolutely. There is no, let's say, cookie cutter way. And almost it's even better if you are very creative with it and come up with concepts, art, ideas that people have never seen before. I think right now that's what the market is really searching for, you know, some really cool new idea. So I really loved your advice. Finche, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Everybody, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. All of our socials of Web3 Ladies Club is in the description below. I will also put all of Colorful Rebels information in the description, as well as links to their different platforms and socials. So please check them out. Finche, I would love to have you on again and talk about another topic. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jasmine. Bye-bye.